Ölgen ko'chilarda umid uzma aziz xalqim, umid uzma ey ana yurt. Biz atlandık bu kurashga, o'yin tashdek uyushib. Allah berse bu nusratni, bizgilerimiz sep bulup, zalimlarni yığlatgudek, Oğuz gibi küçlük bulup, lepildeydi asminanda, göz çaknitip şu günü, ay yıldızlık gök bayrağım. Ey ana makan, ay yıldızlık gök bayrağım.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to an unplanned episode of Talk is Turkestan. I have my friend, my Uyghur rights activist friend with me, who is the head of the Uyghur American Association, joining with me to discuss the topic titled The Hypocrisy of Muslim Leaders. I have with me brother Kuzzat Altay. How are you today?
Except having the pain of what's going on in the world, alhamdulillah, no complaint. But I do think that there's a Uyghur poem. It says, "Kolumga koş bıçak kılıp yürekni yağdek buldum." What does that mean? I want to have double knife on my hands so I can open my heart to you, right? That much. It's a description of what kind of pain people are going through in a very poetic way. But I do think, it's a very painful time period for all of us. Again, no complaint.
Yeah, so just so people know what we're talking about, we're going to be talking about the hypocrisy of Muslim leaders when it comes to, especially recently, when it comes to talking about the Palestinian issue with the Uyghur issue. We're not here to discuss whose pain is worse, even though we'll sort of get into that indirectly. We're going to be talking about how the Muslim world and how Muslim leaders have reacted to both issues. So it will be a Q&A style, and it will be we will talk a little bit, and then please post your questions. So start off with you. What's your reaction to what's been happening recently, especially the last 10 days?
I mean, my reaction from the beginning, even from before the Palestinian issue, right? It was very obvious to see that Muslim countries, so-called Muslim countries, Muslim people are majority in those countries, are first of all not speaking up. Second, they think this is a political issues, and they legitimize Chinese Communist Party's genocide against Uyghurs by saying, okay, this is political internal issues of China. Number three, the government of the Muslim countries are abundantly clear on supporting China. They do openly say we support China on genocide. Even Mahmoud Abbas in Palestine, they said we support China. They're doing a great job. Mohammed bin Salman from Saudi Arabia, he said great job, right? So Sisi, right? He's deporting Uyghur people to China. So the disappointment is from the beginning itself, before even Palestinians issues started. But I do think there's a reason that in Quran there's an entire chapter. The entire chapter is dedicated for hypocrites. It's called Surah Munafiqun, right? So even Allah says in the Quran, saying, dedicated a chapter talk about these issues. Now, I do think people are dying in the concentration camp because one of the external reasons, of course, it's not directly people are doing something to the people in the concentration camp, but one of the external reason that people are dying is because of Muslim countries, Muslim populations around the world are legitimizing Chinese Communist Party's narratives, but not speaking up. So, because what China is doing right now is this, right? Oh, China is superpower. Our economy is growing. The United States is jealous in China against China. Therefore, they're using Uyghurs as a tool or as a vehicle to take us down, right? But that's not true. That's not true. But what China is saying, especially in the international community, is this: Uyghurs are Muslims. Before even Americans, Muslims need to speak up. If there's a genocide, of course, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, especially Turkey, they should speak up. The reason they're not speaking up, because there's no genocide, Uyghurs are very happy. That's Chinese narrative. Those countries not speaking up, those Muslims around the world not speaking up, is causing more death, killings in the concentration camps. So don't think they have nothing to do. They have everything to do with people dying in the concentration camp. Now, talk about Palestinian issue. I do think that you touch very important point. We're not here to compete on who is more victim. This is not competition. We are not comparing the pains of Palestinians and Uyghurs. However, we're comparing the reactions of so-called Muslim world and Muslim leaders. And also, it doesn't have to be government. These are imams and scholars. Hey, bro, listen. Here's McLean Islamic Center right here. I went there 2 years ago. I said, let's create awareness. You know what they said? I said, this is what's going on in the concentration camp in China. Let's do one Jummah prayer. Let's create awareness. You know what that imam said? Oh, yeah, we don't want to get into politics. Since that day, it's 1 mile away from my house. I never go back to that masjid. I pray right here, right here. I just don't feel like I'm the same community. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the Islam that Uyghurs are following seem to be different from the Islam that everyone else is following. I'm not talking about the methods of how you pray. I'm talking about what it means to be part of an ummah. It's either we have our own ummah and then we're not part of this ummah anymore. It's very strange and very hypocritical, as you mentioned, because they'll mention, as you mentioned, I've had the same experience of working with different sort of groups, and like, we don't want to get involved in politics. If you don't want to get involved in politics, don't get involved in Palestine. Don't get involved in Rohingya. Don't get involved with Yemen. Yazatan, you're not even involved in Yemen, but don't get involved in any of these issues. So it makes my blood boil.
Bro, listen. First of all, I want to make one thing clear, right? I am looking at Uyghur issues from humanitarian perspective. I do not, okay, there's many people, I respect your choice. I respect, your political or Islamic ideologies. I don't speak up for Ummah, seriously. I have less concern on creating an Islamic state. But my thing is this: injustice, it shouldn't happen in the world. Genocide should not happen against anyone, including Muslims and non-Muslims, okay? That's one thing I want to make it clear. The second thing is this: this Muslims around the world. Anyway, I got a little distracted by the messages, but anyway, yeah, you continue, bro.
Yeah, so as I was mentioning, so the kings or the sultans of the ummah, right, Erdogan, Imran Khan, right, they'll talk about issues, which they should, right? They'll go against Israel, or they'll talk about the prophet's image, right, being drawn, which is fine. But you're going to totally ignore. I mean, not just ignore. I can understand if these leaders were silent, but they go and support the camps. They go and support oppression, and then they go on the stage and go, "We are against any sort of oppression. You are lying." So I think people need to stop giving these people that label that they are leaders of the ummah. They are not. They are political in nature, and they will use the deen to their advantage wherever they can.
My thing is this, right? I just remember what I was going to say, right? In terms of involving on politics or not, I would ask this way, right? What would Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would do? For example, not even Muslims, if this kind of treatment happening to animal, he would speak up because of his compassion and love to humanity, right? Now, since when speaking up for justice, speaking up for people getting killed is becoming politics? It's not politics. It's what we're supposed to do as a human being with dignity, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is this: when we talk about those hypocrites in the Muslim world, we support, we intensivize, those people, we reward them. Guess what? When people don't use religion as a tool for politics or gaining political benefit and financial benefits, when people don't do that, we don't vote for them, we don't elect them, we don't support them. But when populist Muslim, so-called Muslim leaders, they can go to stage using Quran and reading, those surahs and manipulating people. Just because they're speaking like a Muslim on the stage, everybody's like, oh my God, he's such a Muslim leader. Let's follow him. Let's vote for him. Because by doing that, we're rewarding those hypocrites. Because every single time, hypocrites, they get more money, they get more support, especially they get more political supports. Guess what? You don't have to show me. I am of the people. You don't have to show me you are religious. Show to Allah. Or you really want to show that you're religious? Wake up 3 a.m., pray tahajjud. Why you're showing in the stage? That's the problem. So the Muslim nations, Muslim populations, they should understand the populism, what's going on. Especially, unfortunately, the president of Turkey. I mean, there's no other president. I don't think Sisi is portraying. Sisi never thinks that he is in Egypt, right? He never thinks that he is a leader of the Ummah. But Recep Tayyip Erdogan, he portrays such an image that he is the president, he's the father of the Ummah. In one side, he portraying and speaking up for Palestine, speaking up for Rohingya, right? And on another side, he's sleeping in the same bed with Chinese, killing Uyghurs. Now, if we don't stop this, if we don't open this, this to the general public, still there are people, unfortunately, they don't worship idols. It's not Lat and the Uzza, but they do worship the leaders they follow, the political ideology they follow. The idols don't have to be from the stones. It could be meat, very well meat. Today I can see in many Muslim countries, they do worship their leaders, unfortunately. When the time of Hazrat Omar, remember, bro, Arslan? He had a new shirt, and people were questioning him. Where did you get this cloth? Fabric. I didn't have enough one. They were holding Hazrat Omar. He was like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Khalifa. He was one of the Khalifa. They were questioning him, holding him accountable. Now all of a sudden, questioning Imran Khan, questioning Recep Tayyip Erdogan, or questioning those so-called Islamic leaders. All of a sudden, we're the problem. No, we're not the problem. We just don't like hypocrites.
You've seen constantly people complaining that, what can Turkey or Pakistan do? They are not as strong as China. Well, Turkey just came out and said 50 nations, we should all send, a bit of our army to help calm the situation, in Palestine. Well, couldn't you have made a similar call? You don't have to do it by yourself. You could have made a similar call like that for the Uyghurs, send to, militarily, if there was going to be military intervention.
I mean, the thing is this, we just simply want them to recognize the genocide. Like say, this mistreatment is happening to Uyghurs. And that's what they're not doing. I mean, let's stop financial support, political support, anything else. Just acknowledging there's genocide. That they can't even do that. And yet what happened? They picked Charles Hebdo, this stupid, thing that nobody knows in planet Earth. Nobody knows who is Charles Hebdo. And they make Charles Hebdo so famous because Recep Tayyip Erdogan goes to say, talking to 8 billion people, that how he's against Charles Hebdo and making that nobody somebody. Now, all of a sudden, when there's millions of people are getting killed, he never speak up. The problem is this, right? The problem is it's not only stopping that these people are not speaking up. The problem is by not speaking up, they are legitimizing what China is doing for Uyghurs. Therefore, more people are dying. That's where my anger is coming from.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, because they're not speaking up, therefore China has a way to kill even more people. Just
Absolutely.
a reminder for people who have forgotten or who don't know what's happening to the Uyghurs. There are upwards of 3 million or more in concentration camps. Yes, Nazi-style concentration camps. People are being raped, people are being tortured, and when people die, they don't even get their bodies back. They are cremated so that there is no more evidence. People are going to these camps simply for being Uyghur, simply for being Muslim, for having a beard, for having hijab, for saying Allahu Akbar, for saying Assalamu alaikum. People are being forced to eat pork. People are forced to drink alcohol. People cannot do anything. They cannot throw, let alone throw stones. They cannot even raise a voice a little bit against the Chinese regime. So forget about, coming together and holding flags. We are not even allowed the Uyghur flag, the blue flag that we have, the moon and the star. So I didn't want to compare, but Yani, when comparing with what's happening in Palestine, Palestine is Jannah. Palestine is Jannah. I don't want to compare, but I want people to really, Yani, go into their minds the differences between the two.
So here's the thing, right? There's a couple of things. One, even saying salam is forbidden because you're using religious terminology. What else you can expect from a religious perspective, right? And I do think it's very important to bring up this forced labor issues, right? Uyghurs are using as slaves to produce made in China product. Number two things, mass sterilization, right? Like they're killing babies, guys. Uyghurs' birth rate is 0 now. It's close to 0, okay? Where is this happening otherwhere of the world? In the concentration camps, there are gang rapes. Now, can you imagine that, the sheep or cows, they get slaughtered. Do they get raped? No. Uyghurs, even before getting killed, they're getting raped. Not only men's are getting raped in the concentration camps, right? But one of the issues here is this. As humans, of course, I do understand that's the problem that we have. We look at the pictures and we look at the videos and visuals. That's what China is doing well, unfortunately. They don't allow those information to leak out, right? People cannot have social media in China. They don't have Facebook. They don't have Instagram. They don't have Twitter, okay? So China is absolutely information black hole. That's why it's very hard to prove what's going on. Just because you don't see the gang rape, okay, slavery, right, torture, killing, and incrimination. They're burning the bodies of Uyghurs. It doesn't mean it does not exist, right?
Yeah, so thank you for your comments, guys. A lot of questions coming through. We won't forget about the halal organ harvesting. Type in halal organ harvesting and you'll see how the highest bidders of the Middle East will go and take the organs of Muslims for themselves, paying hundreds of thousands of dollars per organ. And we know how hard it is to get organs, and it's on tap. So any rich person out there, if you've got a liver lung failing, go to China. Basically, that's what will happen. So yeah. So what is the difference between true?
Arslan, what do you think? Right, we have people in those India, Pakistan, Kashmirs. We have people that probably watching this in Bangladesh or Indonesia, general Muslim populations, or Middle East. I'm not sure how much they have access to these platforms, and also people in Western world, right? For those Muslims, what do you think they can do for Uyghurs?
If you're talking about the Muslims in the Muslim world, they should talk to, and I do believe they have a capacity to talk to their leaders and talk about, if you're going to support Palestine, then why not the Uyghurs? They can do this. Even though a lot of these Muslim countries are regime-like in nature, there is still a space for that comparison, because a lot of these regime-like Muslim countries do support Palestine, so they can go, well, why don't you support the Uyghurs as well? Unfortunately, besides that, there isn't much that they can do. A lot of that has to come from Westerners, Western Muslims, and things like this. So unfortunately, there's not much movement. But for example, in Bahrain, we have a famous sheikh by the name of Hassan al-Husseini. He seems to be speaking quite freely on the Uyghur issue. I think because it is Bahrain, it's a small country, and therefore he sort of gets away with it. But I heard recently, and I can't confirm this, that an imam in Pakistan was arrested because he spoke about the Uyghurs, not a Uyghur imam, a Pakistani imam. So that is that's very sad to hear.
So a couple of things I want to talk about, right? Stopping the genocide starts from creating awareness, right? We have to talk about those things and not forget people are getting killed, tortured, mass, slavery in China. So we need to always talk about that. Talking about this is the biggest help that you can provide for Uyghurs, which means that creating awareness in your masjid, in your school, in your community, everywhere that you have, you need to speak up for the genocide, not only for Uyghurs. Don't pick and choose. Don't have one race against another, things like that. Do you think that, racism exists in Islam? Yeah, I do think so. And there's some narrative saying that, Bilal, Sahaba, another Sahaba told Bilal, you're son of the black mother, right? So Bilal was very hurt. And he went to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, this is what happened to me. And Prophet made it very clear, this is a bad thing, we need to stop it, right? Now today, unfortunately, when it happens to Uyghur, I feel like we're second-class Muslims, or we're not even Muslims, right? So people don't care. I think speaking up is very important in your community so people understand, number one. Number two, this Muslim world, right? Whether it's Bangladesh or Pakistan or India or Indonesia or any other, Egypt or any other Muslim countries, right? When you start speaking up, it's not going to stay, especially when you're speaking up on social medias. It's not going to stay in your country. We're living very connected world. It is going to affect, the Muslims in the free world or Western world that has democracy, rule of law, also legislation as well. What does that mean? If you're living in Bangladesh and you have relatives in the United States or friends in the United States, your speaking up from Bangladesh will impact them. And guess what? There's something called constituent. There's people in the United States or in Europe, they can vote. They can call their representative. They can use this tools to create pressure in China. Therefore, as we create more awareness in the Western world through the Muslims around the world, what is going to happen is the countries like United States, Canada, Australia, UK, Netherlands officially recognize there's genocide. So more countries will recognize the genocide, and it's not going to stop there. The genocide recognition will come with very, very impactful financial consequences against China, right? So it means that we need to stop buying slavery product from China. It is going to hurt Chinese economy. China will never stop unless we can hurt their economy. Therefore, genocide awareness, genocide recognition, and also creating bills and laws to sanction China on slavery products. When we take away the financial incentives from China, when China can no longer make money through slaveries, they have to let these people go. So that's what you can do.
So just a reminder, we have a question here. Is the news about the Uyghurs, is it true? We don't see any videos or pictures. Perfect point. I'll remind everyone again, there is no Twitter. YouTube is banned. Facebook is banned. Instagram is banned. Everything is banned. There is no Al Jazeera. There is no AFP. There is no BBC. There is no CNN on the ground to report these things. People cannot post images. Now, why doesn't, if China has nothing, the real question has to be, if China has nothing to hide, why don't they open all of these social media apps? And why don't they let the Western media, the Eastern media into the region? What are they hiding? When Iran, countries always want to sanction Iran for their nuclear program. So they say, give us unfettered access so we don't sanction you. Iran opens its doors, people investigate the area, and they don't have any sanctions. Can China open its doors? Why isn't the world sanctioning China for not opening up its doors? This is the real question. What is China hiding?
So one thing, right, I just see a comment, which is I see very often from people saying, oh, United States or Western world is only supporting Uyghurs because they want to use Uyghurs against China, right? Because China's competitor. Yeah, I think so. I think there's something in there, right? Yeah. Now, if United States is using Uyghurs for making money or profit or competition, is Saudi Arabia, is Turkey, supporting China for sake of God, for going to paradise, for Islamic causes? Why don't you ask the same questions to Muslim governments when they openly, abundantly, clearly supporting Chinese government? Are they doing for sake of Allah? Of course, every one of them are doing for their own cause. I do think in the United States, people speak up for justice. Of course, when they can speak up for justice at the same time, can pressure China, so what? Even Allah says in the Quran says, you know, you are in a business with God. So this is a business transaction. I do not think, you know, there's any issue with that. However, in the first place, is there a genocide going on? Absolutely, yes. There's a genocide going on. It's not like United States or some other countries created genocide artificially, then using against China. There's genocide going on, and the US is speaking about it. Unfortunately, Muslim countries are openly supporting China. You need to speak against Muslim countries first that are openly supporting China before blaming US to support Uyghurs for their own cause.
I love this comment. I assume this is a Turkish person writing. It's Muhammad Shahin Mustafa. These intellectual peasants calling us, they want to bankrupt Turkey by telling Turkey to boycott China. See, there is a self-interest, or there's a national interest for Turkey to team up with China. You see, so they've teamed up with oppressors so that they don't feel hungry. It's the same way why America is using the Uyghurs. Everyone works in their self-interest, but at the same time, we don't want Turkey to go, it doesn't matter about money, we don't do anything. So we're saying, have your actions speak louder than your words. And then another statement here saying, what are Central Asian countries like Uzbekistan and Azerbaijan doing? They are doing nothing. They are either selling back Uyghurs or they are silent on the issue. And guess what? We're not upset at them. You know why we're not? We're not that upset as we are with countries like Turkey or Pakistan that speak big, because they don't speak big. We know who they are. They are no different from when they first became countries back in 1990, 1991. So they are communist in nature, and we are not upset because we know their true nature. What we are upset is at the hypocrisy to say we are with our dear brothers and sisters of everywhere and then sell people out. There are Uyghurs being deported back to China from Turkey. I mean, and you know, there is evidence of this. So
hey,
don't tell me that, you know.
Bottom line, don't portray your leader of Ummah. Don't use that identity anymore. Don't try to make people believe that you have an Islamic cause. You don't. You have a financial cause. You know, if you don't portray that, we won't have expectation. If you open ice cream shop, we will look for ice cream in your shop. You are saying you're father of Ummah. That's why we're expecting this. Then stop talking about Ummah, so we won't expect anything. Do we expect from Sisi? No, because Sisi is not a hypocrite. He's openly against Muslims. He's openly doing everything. He said, you know what? I just, you know, this is who am I, right? I do believe Sisi himself is man enough to be himself, rather than those hypocrites portraying their leader of Ummah, all these things, using Quran, using religion to buy financial and political interests. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. You know, it makes my blood boil all the time. But you know, what can we do? You know, as individuals, what can people do? You mentioned one thing. You know, hit them. You know, economically. So stop buying Chinese products is a big thing. And you should also, if you are following anyone, you know, a big influencer, whether they be a Muslim influencer, whether they be a singer, a footballer, you know, message them saying, why haven't you talked about, why haven't you raised the issue about, you know, a Uyghur genocide? And if not, perhaps unsubscribe for them. You know, if they are purposely not talking about it or they're remaining silent, you know, what's the reason behind that, you know?
Yeah, I do think, you know, one of the most important thing that also this people can do is this, right? Their friends and families, right? There are many Muslim influencers, right? We have Mufti Menk in Australia. I do think he's a fantastic person. He has large followers. I don't remember that he talked about Uyghurs, right? I mean, maybe he talked about it. I just don't know. I'm not very vocal. So we have many Muslims influencers. They have 80 million, 60 million, whatever followers, right? I have how many? 20,000. And they have thousands of people following
Millions.
them.
Yeah.
They need to speak up. Ask them to not only speak up in one particular group. speaking up for Kashmir, speaking up for Yemen, speaking up. In the other day, 80 students, girls in Afghanistan, slaughtered by terrorists. Do we talk about it? Of course, we have to talk about it. Many people don't know. So when these people, oh, just because the media is paying attention for Palestine, oh yeah, this is like trend right now, right? Let me take this trend because it's lots of social media engagement. Let me get more likes. If these people are doing that, call them out. Say, hey, listen, you're being a hypocrite, right? You're here for likes and social media followers because Palestinian issues is on trend right now. You talk about this. Why not talk about Yemenis? 233,000 people are killed in Yemen. Why not talk about Afghanistan or Kashmir or even how Modi in India treat he's all this politics and brutal politics against Muslims in India. Talk about all the issues, and guess what? It doesn't have to be Muslims only. Talk for anyone, and you can pressure them.
There was a very good question here, right? And a similar question to this: why aren't Hui Muslims treated differently than Uyghur Muslims, or that there is general freedom within the other provinces? And that's right. It's right. The amounts of mosques being destroyed and other Muslims generally live freely because, again, people don't like us mentioning this, but this is something it's not simply an Islamic issue. It's because you're Uyghur, because Islam makes a huge part of Uyghur culture and they are interconnected. So to destroy the Uyghur, you need to get that Islam out of him, regardless of if they're practicing or not. Most of the people in the camps are not practicing. They don't have beads. They didn't have hijab. A lot of them worked for the Communist Party. So it is beyond just an Islamic issue.
So one thing I want to say, right? Saeed Imran is working very hard to prove there's religious freedom in China. Congratulations for what causes stand for. However, I want to speak a couple words, right? First of all, my grandmother is Hui. I know what's going on in there. Whatever is happening in East Turkestan today, it is going to happen against everyone in China, right? It is going to happen against Hui Muslims in other places, already happening. They're destroying the mosques, burning Qurans. Just not because you don't know it, it doesn't mean it does not exist. Number two, against Chinese Christians, this is happening. So the thing is this, what I'm saying is this doesn't have to be a Muslim thing. This is happening to this group of people. There are Muslims, there are Christians, there are atheist Uyghurs are getting same treatment. We need to speak up for all of them. We need to speak up. When this happens to Chinese Christians, we still have to speak about it because I want you to ask, if you think that you're a Muslim, I want you to ask yourself what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ would do. Will people, oh yeah, great job, are you killing Chinese? Good, do it more. Will he say that? Or he will stand up for justice? Here I will tell you, he will stand up for justice regardless of their religion and color and language and anything that, how rich they are, how poor they are. So if you think that you're a Muslim, then I want you to follow not Imran Khan or Recep Tayyip Erdogan, follow Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. That's it. That's the easiest solution for us.
I think we've said all we needed to say. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention before I close this stream?
I just want to say, right, this is not a competition or all of a sudden like two Uyghur human rights activists are getting jealous how Palestinians are getting treated. We felt deeply sorry and deeply bad for those people. I watched those kids who were getting killed and bombs, right? Not only Palestinians, as well as Jewish people. No one in the world should be subject to this kind of treatment, right? I wish there's no war in the world. People don't kill each other. However, we feel bad for Palestinians, right? But today we're here to compare the hypocrisy, right? When we are acting like hypocrites, all together we pay the price. Don't pick and choose people, right? If you're from the sake of God perspective, if you think that you're speaking up for Muslims, then speaking up for everyone. Speak up for Yemen, like Saudi Arabia. We call it Islamic countries. 233,000 people that got killed. How many people, like so far in Palestinian? Are these people less important? Are these brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers and kids in Yemenis? Are they not humans? Don't we talk about it, right? So talk for Yemen, stand up for Yemen, stand up for everyone, stand up for Uyghurs. When you do that, all together, we get progress. When you say, you know what, justice only for me, or people like me, or people speak similar language. I don't care what's happening to Uyghurs. I don't care what's happening to others. They're low-level Muslims. They don't even speak Arabic. When you start doing that, we all pay the price. Justice, not for me or you, justice for all, because that's what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ would do. That's my last word.
Yeah, I guess the classic, if we're not all free, then none of us are free. What you just said reminded me of a story a friend told me. In China, and I'm not going to go, it's not a racist story. It's sort of a true story. In China, they eat all sorts of animals, right? So in this specific restaurant, I'm going to close with this. In this specific restaurant, they sell monkeys. They eat monkeys, right? So before they pull the monkeys out of this cage, right? There are about 5-10 monkeys. All the monkeys would gang up on one monkey and push him forward to the chef for him to be killed and eaten, right? But little did they know that eventually their time is going to be, it's going to happen to them as well. So it sort of sums up what you just talked about a moment ago. Anyways, I'm going to close off the stream with that. Until next time, guys, make sure you, you share this stream. Self-awareness. Somebody was saying, why don't you go and fight Israel? Mate, this is what I can do with my hands. I'm doing in my capacity, right? So people should stay in their lane and focus on what they can do instead of talking big. And Allah will judge us for what we can do, not for what we can't do, which is if it's out of our means. Okay, brothers and sisters, until next time, thank you so much, Brother Kuzzat Altay. Make sure you follow him on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Very prominent Uyghur activist. And until next time, guys.
Same to you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ümit üzme aziz halqim, ümit üzme ey ana yurt. Biz atlandık bu küreşke, o yıl taştek uyuşup. Allah verse bu nusretni, bizgilerimiz sep-sep bulur.